Today in history, in 1925, the Butler Act, which outlawed the teaching of evolution in Tennessee schools, was signed into law, and the legislation was at the center of the Scopes trial and was not repealed until 1967.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history? I am the Rizzard Zachary, and I will be casting all the spells and seducing all of your lovers, so look out.
My name is Meghan, and after reading our Today in History, I realized by going 30 miles per hour in a car, I probably travel faster than science does in Tennessee. So that's an interesting thought.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned a lot of things, but instead I'm going to go back to our last recording and let you know about some shit that I forgot to mention from my last story. And it's brief, so I won't go into too much detail. But last week I mentioned at the top of my story a doctor by the name of Julius Hess and forgot to go back and talk to him or talk about him. But he was the doctor who had helped Martin Cuney with his incubator babies, to add just a little bit of legitimacy to what he was doing, not like that this random guy was just putting babies in incubators and displaying them to the public. And also the exhibit had been running for so long that a day was organized where children who had been saved by the incubators came back 40 years later to visit.
Wow.
The exhibit.
Oh, that's cute.
I appreciate you going back. And
those were things that I had wanted to mention in my story and had not mentioned.
I appreciate you going back because the 40 years after is amazing.
Yeah, it's
and
really
also,
cool.
I needed to know more about the doctor that prevented all the babies from being wibbly wobbly.
So I felt bad because I said he didn't really matter, and truthfully, per the story, he was sort of just the guy that gave the story a little bit, or gave the whole venture a little bit of legitimacy because he was the doctor that was monitoring the babies.
I absolutely understand that, Matt. I wasn't trying to do anything poignant to the conversation. I was trying to make a poor Doctor Who joke.
He was making a bad wibbly wobbly joke.
He was the doctor, and he helped prevent all the wibbly wobbly babies. Yes.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Anyways.
No. He's important. I love that this man saved many children. I am here to make bad jokes and drink beer.
And he's all out of beer.
No, I have 1.5.
No, he got more.
I got more.
He got more before the podcast. All right, kids, we've set our strikes to 0, and we've played a fake game of rock, paper, scissors. The order for tonight's episode is Zach, followed by Meghan, followed by me, and I did promise my co-hosts that I was going to do something controversial. So if you weren't hooked yet, stay tuned.
Can I tell you a quick thing that I learned because I did an evolution today in history?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, cool. So I learned that in our illustrious evolutionary history that humans used to have a gene where we could synthesize our own vitamin C.
Fuck you, oranges.
So we couldn't. Yeah, fuck you, oranges. But then at some point, we started eating a lot of fruit.
Yep. Okay.
And our bodies decided we were going to kill that gene.
Hell yeah, baby.
Because we didn't need it anymore.
Man, we used to have tails and not need citrus. What the fuck happened to us?
Everything
Dude,
went
I'm
wrong.
so mad. Now I got to spend money on fruit.
Everything went wrong when the Fire Nation attacked.
You think this stuff grows on trees?
Wait,
you know
it does.
You know what's really
but
scary?
I gotta pay for it.
The concept of scurvy.
I know.
So,
Okay,
legitimately, in its worst form, scurvy lets all of your scars reopen.
Mm-hmm.
Because scarring is an active process. So, if you get scurvy and don't get it treated, every scar that you've ever had in your body just reopens.
I have a
and-
lot of those, and that is worrisome.
No, I know, but like also think about anyone who's ever had a C-section
Or a surgery
or any
in
other
general.
internal surgery.
Yeah.
Like they just fall apart from the inside out.
However,
Yuck.
I will say, I put scurvy in the same category as quicksand, where I thought I would have to worry about it a lot more.
Way,
as
way
an
more,
adult,
yeah.
than when I was a child.
Way
As a
more.
child, I was like, quicksand and scurvy, the two things I gotta watch out for. And
Absolutely.
Quicksand and scurvy.
Never had to
I'm like
go
a
through either.
fucking
I
pirate.
never had to worry about it. But we should probably get the podcast started.
absolutely.
But yeah, but anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. I was so fascinated because I've been listening to like this like science series,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, by the way,"
We
and I was like, "Why?"
we love good science revelations.
We love science here.
And it's historical, kind of way back history.
We're not a science podcast, but we could make the leap.
We could make the leap.
We could make the
What
leap.
the fuck, science?
What the fuck, science?
Ooh,
But anyways,
ooh.
Zach, you want to
All right.
kick us off?
Yeah,
Kick us off.
absolutely. I will also say that because Matt, you have already stated you're going to do a controversial thing. I feel like
Yeah.
that this episode is just going to have to be called clickbait, no matter what.
Sure.
And
Sure.
sure, yeah. But yeah, that's that. There was a second thing I had and I forgot it because my brain only works on so many levels. But yeah, let's get into it. Tonight, for your entertainment, my fellow humans, I bring you one of the absolute drippiest men in history. I know I haven't done a heinous gentleman of history in a while, and
The
this one
drip.
doesn't technically count, I don't think. But he absolutely did make everyone swoon, so I do want to talk about him.
I'm ready. I'm here for it.
I'm not sure that I agree with the description of a drippy man.
Okay. Do you want to
Just-
elaborate
What
or
do you mean?
just...
No, just like in general, that gave me a little bit of the ick, and I did want to say, like, men, there are remedies if you're dripping. and
yeah, if you're
didn't-
dripping, go see a
if you're
doctor.
dripping and you didn't mean to be, definitely consult your doctor.
I did debate on starting this with, instead of my fellow humans, saying my fellow teenagers.
That's fair.
That way I could add a bunch of other terrible, terrible lingo that I don't fully understand.
Dude, when we were talking about the video today of like
Yeah.
what we were, you said the word rizz lord, and I was like, I have a vague understanding of what that means,
Yeah.
but I could tell that I was getting older.
Dude, I am just Steve Buscemi with a skateboard.
That word alone was enough for me to be like, I'm old now.
Yep, okay, and hold on, grip it and rip it. Yeah, no, I get that. I added a bunch of bullshit jargon in here, but we'll deal with it later. So without further ado, I do want to talk about Alcibiades.
Oh, that's a great name.
Dang it.
Alcibiades
That's a good name.
nuts. Sorry, that was not a
Okay.
great
Nope.
joke, but
No, strike one.
no, fair enough. I felt like I needed to do it. It was bad, but I just
No, it was bad, but I understood what you needed to do, and you'll understand why we need to give you a strike.
no. I fully accept the strike, but like, it's like when you see something that's 69-420, you can't just not be like, nice. Yeah, you know?
Strike two.
Okay. All
No,
right.
my God.
I'm just kidding, but
No,
please,
no,
we have
fine.
to go on.
Fuck you, I'll take it.
We have
like
to
a champ.
continue. We've
Anyway.
been here
He's
so
taking the
long.
strike. He's got 2 strikes. Damn.
Alcibiades was an Athenian statesman and general way back in the, 450 BC way back.
The way back.
The way back. We'd have to put a lot of miles on the Ford Tacoma.
That's true.
But to put it plainly, he was an absolute sexual god and a haver of so much main character energy.
Now, main character energy,
Good for
I
him.
understand.
I'm glad we understand some of it. He starts off his whole ass life with the most main character energy by having just several famous teachers, including Socrates.
Hell yeah,
I mean,
dude.
good for him.
Like, Socrates literally picks Alcibiades out of a crowd and is like, I'm teaching that one because
Because why? He's got a good
Alcibiades
face, likes to jib
in
his
his
jab.
youth was known for being extremely like unruly, untenable, and really vain.
Nice.
A perfect reason to teach this guy.
Well, yeah, Socrates was like, I'm gonna show this bitch some manners.
I'm gonna show this bitch some learning.
This motherfucker's gonna learn today.
Learn him some.
Socrates never did actually get Alcibiades to like cool his jets. Alcibiades was a vain asshole for his entire life in the best way possible.
You know, that's like, I feel like teachers nowadays who struggle with the absolutely most heinous 6-year-olds, like, and they're like, man, am I just bad at teaching? No, apparently Socrates also couldn't teach.
If
certain
Socrates
people.
failed, then you can fail too.
Yeah, just remember that, all you teachers out there listening. If Socrates can fail, you can fail too. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings. But like the best part about this is like Socrates like tries to get him to like cool his jets and Alcibiades doesn't. But I feel like Alcibiades' arrogance is earned in a way that we will find out later. Which is why I'm not upset about him being a little bit of a bratty shit. However, Socrates and him actually do kind of become friends, and they actually save each other's butts in battle on like Socrates saves Alcibiades in a battle, and then Alcibiades saves Socrates in a battle. It's wild.
A life for a life.
A life for a life. Wookiee life debts completely canceled. But Alcibiades was extremely vain, and he was extremely vain because apparently... Excuse me, I like burped and coughed at the same time. That was gross. I'm gonna cut that.
Oh my
Thank
god,
you.
you're doing a lot over there.
Apparently, Alcibiades was like one of the most gorgeous human beings on the planet, and he fucking knew it.
All right.
Oh my god, do you think they have busts of him?
I do believe there are busts of Alcibiades. I will try to find one.
I'll do it while you tell the
Okay.
story because we've been so distracted.
And so Alcibiades was married to a woman a little bit younger. He was a little bit younger, like in timeline-wise, named Hipparate. And Hipparate at one point tries to divorce him because Alcibiades is just fucking so many prostitutes.
Yeah,
Which at that time they
classic.
were more kindly called courtesans, but basically he was fucking everybody. And Hipparate never actually ended up being able to divorce him, because when she went to the court to do the divorce hearing, Alcibiades shows up to the court, picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, and just walks her home. And they never discuss it ever again because
As
he's
you
just
so often do.
And the
he's
judge
so
was like,
stupidly
fair.
handsome that she's just like, fine, I guess this is my life, and I'm okay with it. Look at these big, strong muscles.
And the judge was like, did you see how hot that guy is?
Yeah. She ends up having 2 kids with him, and she stays with him until his death. Like,
Great.
I mean, did you see how hot that guy is?
Did you guys see how hot that guy was?
did you? That Hansel is so hot right now.
Oh, man.
Weird Zoolander reference. I'm sorry. But our good boy Al really comes into his own about midway through the Peloponnesian War, when he pushes the Athenians to be a little bit more aggressive. The Treaty of I'm trying not to butcher this. Greek names are weird, or rather hard for me. Nicias. The Treaty of Nicias. Also remember Nicias because the treaty is named after a guy who wrote it, and he's kind of important. But the Treaty of Nicias is signed, and it's this weirdly worded, kind of vague ceasefire between Athens and Sparta. But it's not really... The language in it is confusing. So Sparta sends some delegates over to Athens to kind of just hash out the wording of this treaty, make sure that they kind of understand what's going on. And when the diplomats from Sparta arrive, they're like, all right, we speak for Sparta. We have full powers given to us by the Spartan king. Anything that we agree on here is absolutely what's going on. We speak for Sparta. And the day before they're going to go into the Athenian court, Alcibiades kind of pulls them aside in a secret meeting and is like, hey, just to like give you guys a heads up because you're kind of new around here, Athenian politics are super complicated and everyone in that room is going to be going after your head. Just, it's going to be a mess. I'm giving you forewarning. Why don't you just like renounce your diplomatic authority and let me kind of guide you through everything? Like, I'll be your main man. And the Spartan delegates are like, that seems like a good idea. What was that?
I don't know. It feels a little sus.
It feels a little sus, but the Spartans don't think it's sus. They're literally like, this guy's the only cool guy we've met in Athens so far. He wants to help us out. Let's let him fucking help us. And
I mean, okay, I don't know. I just like if someone if someone was like, all right, you need to go in and you have to negotiate a treaty. Mm-hmm. And someone came up to me and was just like, hey, why? That's all cool, but like, why don't you relinquish all of your diplomatic authority and give it to me, and I'll handle it for you. And granted, I don't want to do my job, but I'd be like, who are you?
Yeah, yeah, I get you. But also, good call on you, Meghan, because you're smarter than the Spartans.
Well, you know, classic. They didn't they fucking it was the Trojans.
The Trojans were dumb.
I was like, didn't they also fall prey to the horse? But
no.
There's a lot of dumb. There's a lot of dumb groups of people at this time.
Absolutely. Fucking idiots.
Fucking idiots.
Go over in the corner with your fucking abacus, loser. Anyway, sorry.
Your
So, for some reason, the Spartan delegation agrees to this, and they're like, Alcibiades is our guy. The next day, they go before the Athenian court, and they're like, hey, remember what we said yesterday? We, actually don't have any political power whatsoever. We're just a bunch of guys being dudes. To which Alcibiades fucking stands up and is like, again, convinced all the Spartans that this was the best play for them. And he's like, these lying pieces of shit. They came in here yesterday being like, we have all the power. And now what do they say today? They don't have any power? You gonna believe anything that they fucking say? Because I don't. In fact, fuck all of Sparta. Let's get back to the war with Sparta because we love that so much. Also, make me a general. And guess what? All of Athens agrees.
Yeah.
Athens is like, Alcibiades, you are fucking correct. Let's go back to war. Fuck these guys. Fuck the haters.
Let's go back to war. Start the war again.
It's ridiculous.
That reminds me of one of my favorite jokes.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole premise of the joke is that a guy gets, he gets pulled over and the cop pulls him over and he's like, well, I've got a dead body in the trunk and a gun in the glove compartment. So, the joke goes on, right? And the cop then calls in some backup and, another one of the cops comes up to the door and he's like, sir, we've been told that you have a dead body in the trunk and a gun in your glove compartment. And then the guy responds, yeah, and I bet you the son of a bitch told you I was speeding, too.
Yeah. A little bit of a misdirect there. I love it.
Anyways, sorry.
But Alcibiades is a general, and he starts leading some campaigns, and this dude is, undefeatable in battle. He just keeps winning.
Does he just show his pecs?
Pretty much. He just, fucking...
Yeah,
stands on a hill, shows his pecs.
And everyone's like, in the Disney animated Hercules where they squeeze the action figure and the pecs bulge out? Absolutely. Yeah. Just like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But 415 BC rolls around, and Athens is ready to take this war and just keep on a rolling, and they want to start waging a campaign against parts of Sicily. Because, hey, Sicily is some good land.
Why not?
And there's a lot of good gold there. And we're Athens, and we fucking want it. And so Athens gathers some allies. And the Athenian court goes and says, hey, Alcibiades, what do you think is gonna, like, how much do you think we need to, like, take Sicily? Or at least a couple cities in Sicily. And Alcibiades is like, what about a couple
nothing
of...
but my hot bod. Nothing but my hot bod.
Nothing but my hot... Pretty much, Alcibiades was like a few dude bros and maybe like 60 ships.
Yeah, a few of my closest Chad bros.
I just need a couple of Chads, a couple of Brads, and one Thad, and like 60 boats.
And then 60 boats, and they're like, oh, all right.
Now, that seems like a reasonable request. However, Nicias, who once again, I remember, was the guy that, you know, Alcibiades just shat all over his treaty in the last episode.
Yeah.
He's still a little hurt.
He's still a little butthurt.
His heart's a little broken.
Heart's a little broken.
Yeah.
Nicias stands up and basically tries to beat the whole idea down, as well as the pride of the man that just shat all over his treaty, by saying, hey, that's definitely not enough soldiers. You need, and I quote, 140 galleys, 5,000 men at arms, and 1,300 archers / slingers / light footmen.
Damn, someone did the math.
Someone calculated it. And
he was the one over in the corner with his abacus.
Yeah, Nicias with his abacus was over in the corner being a fucking nerd. Well, Alcibiades was just trying to get in everyone's pants and winning wars.
Flashing his pecs.
And
he was like, dude, can we bring kegs to war?
Yeah, did we load up the galleys with beer?
I'll challenge you to a keg stand.
And so a ridiculous amount of people compared to a few dude bros and 60 ships. And it was only said to not, it wasn't actually like a strategy that was supposed to be proposed. It was just there to shit all over Alcibiades' parade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, the Rizz Lord Al turns to the congregation of Athens and goes, like, so can I just have all that? And Athens is like, my boy, my sweet, sweet boy, my sweet summer child, my favorite, my golden boy. Why, absolutely, you can have all that.
I like the idea of someone being like, him just having this plan that's like, yeah, me and a couple of my, bachelor party are just going to go down and solve this problem. And this guy's, no, you need way more than that. And he goes, I hate this fucking plan, but can I has?
Can I has cheeseburger?
Yeah, can I just have this?
So
and everyone's just like, oh, you're pretty, yeah.
Pretty much. Athens grants him all that and more. Because he's just fucking insane. And as they're about to, like, set sail for the campaign of Sicily, they push off land, they start heading towards Sicily, and a bunch of statues of the gods get defaced, which is a big no-no before the Christians show up.
Yeah, that seems like a no-go.
And for some reason, Alcibiades is accused of impiety and put on trial.
Oh my God! Something can take him down.
Well,
religion
can take out Alcibiades apparently, because Alcibiades is not there to defend himself in court.
He gets killed by the Pope.
Oh, classic.
He is convicted in absentia and sentenced to death.
No.
But hear me out.
But he goes on the run with Thelma and Louise.
Instead of taking an L for once in his fucking life, Alcibiades calls up the fuckos from Sparta, the opposition, and goes, hey, do you want me on your side or do you want me on your side?
I'm not giving you a choice here.
And Sparta's like, we absolutely want you on our side.
They're like, yo, you made a fool of us that one time, but like we're willing to forgive.
We remember that galaxy brain move a couple years ago. We want you on our team.
He's like, yo, no hard feelings, right? Like,
no hard feelings. ... Yet ... So Alcibiades defects to Sparta, where he becomes really good friends with the king of Sparta and his, like, premier military advisor. And that's hunky-dory for a few years. And then it kind of goes south when the queen of Sparta gives birth to a baby boy. And,
oh no.
Oh, would you look at that?
Oh no.
It looks a lot like Alcibiades.
Oh no, it's hot.
Oh no, this baby's hot.
This baby came out looking like hot Squidward. What do we do?
We kill the man responsible.
Yeah, so they go to kill Alcibiades, and Alcibiades is like, well, time to pack up my bags and defect again. We're off to Persia.
I like how he doesn't deny it.
He went to Persia next?
He went to Persia next.
Who'd he impregnate there?
I mean, a lot of people. He apparently had a lot of bastards.
Damn, dude.
But he kind of stays in Persia for a few years and gives more military advice while he's just
evading capture?
Well, evading capture and just staying under the radar. And there is a coup that happens in Athens where the democracy is overthrown and some of his buddies start an oligarchy in Athens.
I thought for a minute you were going to say an Olive Garden in Athens. And I was going to be like, oh, what a nice one. I thought instead of oligarchy, you said Olive Garden.
Yeah, they start an Olive Garden in Athens, the original Olive Garden in 412 BC.
When you're here, your family.
When you're here.
Endless soup salads and impieties.
Oh god, that's so funny.
His buddies.
Anyway, go ahead.
His buddies like start an oligarchy and are like, "Hey, you want to be like acquitted of your crimes and come on back?
Hey, you want to come home, bud?
You want to come home, bud?" And Alcibiades is like,
and
"Yeah,
he's like,
I fucking hate Persia. It's just sand. I fucking hate sand."
Yeah, dude. There's not enough people here, fuck.
Not enough people to dip my dick into. I'm coming home. And
sand sucks.
He ends up coming back, and he's reinstated as an Athenian general. This man has no loyalty except for to himself, and it's fucking wild.
This man has no... He definitely doesn't, but it's so funny.
He keeps on fighting with the Spartans with Athens because that's what they do, and he wins a whole bunch of battles, including a battle where, this is fucking wild, he convinces a conspirator inside the city to open up the city gates to allow his army in.
Mm-hmm.
Normal espionage shit for battles. Except, oops, by the time the gates are opened, the army hasn't shown up, and it's just Alcibiades and 30 of his chattiest chads.
Yeah.
It's just Alcibiades and like a
party.
bachelor party.
It's just the bachelor party 2.0, and against a whole city garrison. And against overwhelming odds, Alcibiades just steps up and starts talking. He just, like, starts giving a speech to the city garrison in, like, the most, like, WWE pre-match promo bullshit.
Oh, he was cutting a promo.
He was cutting a promo and being like, yeah, well, I'm gonna fucking take you down. You don't know what's coming. You just fucking wait. I'm gonna fucking get you. Well, the gates are open, and they're, like, standing, like, within stabbing range. Alcibiades is
friends,
just, like,
Romans,
vying for
countrymen.
time. He's just vamping, like Matt earlier in the episode.
That's crazy.
And he vamps for so long that the rest of the army shows up, and they take the fucking city.
Amazing.
Well, that's all he needed, dude. He just like he needed enough
needed
time for the rest of the bachelor
He just
party.
needed to buy some time, and he does. And he continues to just be an absolute dude, bro, wooing women and winning wars until he gets a major loss at Nautium And they kind of just like are like, all right,
Takes his first
I know
L.
that was like one of your first L's, but like we're also gonna kick you off the
Takes
force.
his-
You're no longer a general.
Takes his very first L.
Takes his very first L and also his last L. Because they just are like, all right,
His
you're done being a
first
general
and
now,
last.
buddy. And he's like, okay.
Listen, if you're gonna take an L, you better make it your first and last.
Absolutely. But the man with the golden mouth still has many enemies, and Sparta fucking hates his guts. And Sparta sends a bunch of assassins to get him. And while Alcibiades is in bed with his favorite courtesan, the Spartan assassins set his house on fire. Because they know if Alcibiades gets a chance to talk, the game's already fucking over.
Yeah, he'll talk his way out of it.
Yeah.
However, this is
I mean,
Alcibiades.
he kind of doesn't have to. He just has to get undressed.
So he talks his way out of death?
No. It is Alcibiades, and he doesn't know how to take a fucking L. So
He
the
already
dude
took
bro.
one.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to take a second one.
Oh, fair.
Yeah,
and
it was his first and last.
He comes charging out of his burning house, wielding a sword, just like running at these assassins.
Where was the courtesan?
I'm assuming a crispy, like, toasty courtesan at this moment. I don't know. It's Alcibiades' story. It's not his courtesan story.
I know, it's like, he's we're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, I guess not. But so
We're not allowed to
Alcibiades
talk about the women of his life.
comes running out of the burning house, and, well, his intentions are pure. It doesn't really matter much to a bunch of assassins with bows, and he gets the Greek tragedy equivalent of the ending of Red Dead Redemption,
Nice.
where he just is now just, like, covered in arrows, like Boromir in the Fellowship of the Ring.
He's
just
a pincushion.
He's a pincushion, and Alcibiades dies.
Poor
I mean,
guy.
it is a way to go out.
It is a way to go out. Like, that is a great way to go. If you're gonna go, fucking go with a bang, and he did.
Yeah, there are definitely less heroic ways to go. I'm not saying that's heroic,
No.
but, like, he didn't go down without a fight, and that's all we ask of our strange, bro-ish Greek heroes.
He was a strange, bro-ish Greek hero. That is the best way to describe him.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I'm on his side, but I'm, like, not on his side.
That's kind of my whole feeling about Alcibiades, is, like, I know he kind of sucks. Like, he's definitely a little
Yeah, he
bit
kinda sucks.
of a shady character. But at the same time, I'm kind of rooting for him.
Kind of rooting for him.
He is the equivalent of having that bard in your D&D party that keeps pushing the envelope as to how much they can get away with.
I know, like... Oh, God. Yeah, no, you're not. He is the bard of ancient Greece.
He is an ancient Greek fighter bard. He's a Chad bard.
Fighter bard. Yeah, he's the Chad bard. A new subclass in D&D. But,
Oh, that is my story. That is the Great Big Al.
Good old Al.
The Great Big Al. That's what we're gonna name the episode, The Great Big Al.
The Great Big Al.
Until we get to my story.
Oh no, I'm ready.
No, I just like the name of it.
What's the name?
I called it God's Russian Surprise.
God's Russian Surprise. I am scared now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you should be scared. Maybe because of the fact that this can still happen. Anyway, I'm gonna spin you a tale. That obviously happens in Russia.
Spin us a yarn.
Hence the title.
Spin us a yarn.
Yeah, I'm spinning you a Russian yarn. So, as most strange things do, this does happen in Russia. It happened on June 30th, 1908, in the depths of Siberia, so anything can really happen there.
Siberia.
Locals in the whole area of Siberia, like, it's a big area, but honestly, nobody wants to go there, so, like, anything can happen. But God's gloves are off. So
Or the Russian government's.
So are the Russian governments. Like, listen, if God's eyes are closed, my eyes are closed. Mostly because of the winds, the polar winds.
Mostly because it's fucking freezing.
It's fucking freezing. Dude, I watched this is still about Siberia, but I did watch like a mini documentary, and it was like about this little Siberian boy going to school, and his mom was like, he has to wear 6 layers of clothing because it's negative 55 out. I don't send him to school if it's like below negative 55. I'm like, what's below negative 55? Fucking the 10th circle of hell?
Negative
Like,
56?
that's where you live.
It's the center of hell.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's Siberia. So the year is 1908. We're in the depths of Siberia, and on this horrible day, locals in the area reported seeing a bluish light in the hills northwest of Lake Baikal. It was nearly as bright as the sun and moving across the sky, leaving a thin trail. And closer to the horizon, there was a flash that produced a billowing cloud, followed by a pillar of fire that cast a red light on the landscape. And then this pillar split in two and faded, turning to black.
Oh?
And that's not where we're ending, because about 10 minutes later, there was a sound that was reported that sounded like artillery fire. People closer to the explosion said that the source of the sound moved from east to the north, and then came the shockwave. It was so powerful that people were knocked over, and it broke the windows of homes hundreds of kilometers away. The explosion registered on seismic stations across Eurasia, and airwaves from it were detected as far away as DC.
Holy shit.
Also, I know, yeah. So in some places, it actually registered as a 5.0 earthquake on the Richter scale as well.
Oh my gosh.
I know, all right? So it didn't end there. Over the next few days, the skies in Asia and Europe were on fire, with pictures from the time being taken in Sweden and Scotland of the sky brightly lit at midnight.
Okay.
So it's really cool, right? Like, I was reading this, I was like, I have no idea what's happening. So although the regions in Siberia where the explosion happened were sparsely populated, there are eyewitness accounts, and I've taken a few of the interesting ones before I tell you what really happened.
Okay.
So about 40 miles from the explosion, we have an account from a mineralogist, because I guess that's a job. Scientists just call themselves whatever they want, all right? They fucking look at dirt and they're just like, I'm a dirtologist. Like, pay me $900,000. Yeah, like, fuck it, dude. Like, pay me $900,000 a year.
Megan, 1 second.
Yeah?
Liz, I love you so much. Fucking scientists? What the fuck?
He whispers to his partner. He's like, I love you so much. I appreciate everything you do.
I appreciate you. You're so smart, and it is so attractive, and you are just a wonderful human being. What the fuck, scientists? Why do you think you are so fucking special?
Okay, so we do have to make a jump into what the fuck science.
We do.
Yeah, we might have to. Oh, fuck, we do have to make a jump into what the fuck science. So before we make the jump into what the fuck science, so there was this mineralogist. He was at a trading post 40 miles from the explosion, and this guy reported that where he was, the air became so hot, it felt like his shirt was on fire, and then he was thrown off of his feet.
Oh my God.
He felt the earth shake, and that when the sky opened up, it felt like the wind was lava.
Jeez.
What the fuck?
I know. And then other people who are a little bit closer reported being woken up by birds fleeing overhead, and then trees suddenly being obliterated. Like, fucking toppled and set on fire.
Oh my God.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so because of the time and the remote location of the event, scientists have to have had to like make conjectures on what happened based on like the geological studies made many years later. And they believe that this event, which was called the Tunguska event, was due to a meteorite impact. However, there was no impact crater.
Okay.
Instead, they found at the epicenter that trees in an 830 square mile radius had been scorched and knocked down. And they also found small metal spheres containing nickel and iron consistent with like a meteor air burst. So essentially what happened, like the leading scientific explanation is that an asteroid exploded about 4 to 6 miles above Earth's surface, and that these events of this proportion only happen once every 1,000 years.
It was like a meteor, and then it was gone. Like,
yeah. It was like it's the equivalent of like an atomic, what happens to an atomic bomb going off. Like it doesn't hit the ground. It explodes. It's an air burst.
Yeah,
so
that's how you do the most damage.
Yeah. So this is what this did. And the reason it was so big, like the reason it did so much damage is that the meteor that didn't hit us, but it exploded in our atmosphere, was probably about 200 feet in size and traveling at 60,000 miles per hour.
Damn, she fast.
She's so fast.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Faster than that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's much faster, but I wanted to give a little Doppler effect. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you for the we gotta talk to the sound department and talk about a budget for sound effects.
I do my own Foley work, okay?
Oh yeah. Zach does his own Foley work. This is the largest impact event in recorded history, although bigger ones have happened in prehistoric times, obviously.
Like the ones that killed the dinosaurs?
I mean, obviously, the one... Also, those actually, like, hit Earth, you know?
Oh, that's
yeah.
Like, that's true. You right.
You right. When you're right, you're right.
Yeah, like, we obviously, like, have these massive craters, like, where the Yucatan Peninsula is. That's, like, part of an impact crater. But this one didn't create a crater. It just, like, created a lot of, like, vegetative damage. It left a lot of iridium and, like, nickel and iron. It obviously, like, caused a lot of, like, people to be scared. But I thought it was interesting too that like if this had landed in a more populated area, it would have taken out a large metro area. Like,
it was an atomic bomb
Boston
that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, like Boston would have been gone, right? Like New York would have been gone.
And
Jeez.
all
And it
of the
didn't even hit
surrounding
us.
areas.
Yeah, so like I said, it is history. It's a little bit more science-y, but
What the fuck, science?
what the fuck, science and history. But I did read this and I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because I didn't think that like meteors could airburst. Do you guys remember like a few years ago, I think it was like in 2014, there were a lot of videos coming out of Russia of that really bright light that was actually like traveling.
I think so.
Yeah, like you vaguely remember it.
Vaguely, yeah.
That was another like air impact, airburst of a meteor happening.
Wow.
Like people reported the same stuff happening as this event. So I'm not sure why it all happens in Russia, but
it always happens in Russia.
I don't know, it always happens in Russia, so like rip to some legends.
What happens in Russia
We gotta get Putin on this. We gotta get the KGB on this.
stays in Russia.
Ugh.
But that was my story. It was short, but
Short, sweet, to the point.
Short,
About-
sweet, to the point. I
Sweet,
love it.
To the point.
About space.
About
Space.
space. And
Space.
history.
The final frontier.
Oh my god.
No longer the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. All right, I'm
Alright, I
ready
wanna
for the
hear your
controversy.
story.
I'm fucking ready for it.
I'm ready for the controversy.
Hey. Stop.
What? You're the one who hyped it.
Okay, tonight, my dear listeners, I am talking about a war. However, it is not World War One,
Classic.
which is one of my favorites,
Oh.
or my absolute favorite subject, World War Two. Instead,
No, no.
I will be enlightening
We're off the
you
rails.
and my dear co-hosts about a little skirmish known as the Whiskey War.
Ooh.
It is also known as the Liquor War.
Okay. I barely know her.
Gross. Strike two.
No, that's 3.
We're not going to call it strike 3 because I think the second strike that I gave him was a soft one. So,
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
and
It was
I
a
want
foul
him.
Do
ball
the
at
soft and
best.
hard
It was
strikes.
definitely a foul ball at best. So that's strike 2 for Sherzies, though.
Okay.
So what's interesting about this war is that it started in 1973, the year of our Lord, and it only ended last year in 2022.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It ended pretty close to when Russia invaded Ukraine. And the reason that it ended is because it was meant to demonstrate to Russia, specifically to Russia, that conflicts can be ended peacefully.
It still doesn't understand that concept.
Yeah, Russia a year later still hasn't figured it out. But so as I mentioned, the war started in 1973, but the actual conflict didn't begin until 1984. But this war began as a dispute over the border when maps were being drawn up between Denmark and Canada, and the dispute is over an island called Hans Island. And so essentially, Hans Island sits in the middle of what is known as the Kennedy Channel between Greenland and Ellesmere Island.
Okay.
And so...
Those are both made up places.
Huh? They're made
Those are
up?
Made up places.
They're not.
Yep.
Greenland
Don't
exists.
believe in Greenland.
Ellesmere Island, I'm not sure, is a real place, but Greenland
Less
for
convinced.
sure exists.
They're both real. Continue.
So, a line that had been drawn between the two borders went straight through the island, but Canada and Denmark could not come to a conclusion about who owns what when they were drawing up their borders in 1973, and so they decided to leave it for then. But that left a gap in the
We'll get back to this later.
yeah, that essentially left a gap in their border description that they didn't bother to correct until last year.
That's fine.
Excuse me. So,
I'm sure it didn't cause any problems for those people living in that unclaimed area at all.
well, no, the island is uninhabited.
Oh, so we're fighting over uninhabited land. I love it.
Yeah. So, listen.
Classic.
This is what starts the conflict. In 1984, Canadian soldiers land on the island and place the Canadian flag.
Oh no.
And then they place a bottle of Canadian whiskey.
Okay.
Bro.
And that's it.
That's warfare.
The only thing that exists on this island is a flag and some whiskey.
Exactly.
This sounds like heaven.
Now, this is why it's called the Liquor Wars. This is why it's called the Whiskey War. Okay, ready? The Danish minister of Greenland comes to the island afterwards and plants the Danish flag and leaves a bottle of schnapps.
Oh,
Stop
no.
And then he drinks the Canadian.
And I need you to understand. Yes, no, doesn't drink it. He just takes it with him. But
Oh, he just takes it.
the remainder of the conflict are the two countries taking turns planting their flags on the island and swapping out booze.
Okay, hear me out. I am not one that agrees with a bloated military budget, especially when you're spending more than the next 9 countries, 8 of whom are allies. I'd spend a lot
8 of whom are allies?
I'd spend a huge fucking military budget for this operation, boys.
So, here's...
Only the finest.
Here's where the controversial part of my story comes in.
Okay.
I'm going to read directly from Wikipedia.
Okay.
Normally I would do this in notes and like sugarcoat this, but I'm reading the timeline directly from the Wikipedia.
Okay.
So in 1980 to 1983, a Canadian firm did research on and around the island. As I mentioned, in 1984, Canadian soldiers placed a bottle of whiskey and their flag on the island. Then the Danish minister of Greenland chartered a helicopter to the island, placed a flag of the Danish there, and replaced the bottle of whiskey with a bottle of schnapps, and also a sign that said, "Welcome to this Danish island."
Welcome. That's so passive aggressive.
Yeah. In 1988, Danish Arctic Ocean Patrol cutter HDMS, I'm not going to try, arrived at the island, built a cairn, essentially like...
Yep.
A
Tower of Stones.
A Tower of Stones. Jesus Christ, my brain. And they placed a flagpole and the Danish flag on the island. In 1995, the Danish liaison officer and geodist flew in and placed another flagpole and flag. In 1997, the Danish Arctic Ocean Patrol tried to reach the island but couldn't because of weather. In 2001, a helicopter flew by the island. These are all the important... These are just considered military activity.
Ooh, a chopper.
In 2002, the Danish once again went to the island, erecting a new cairn, a new flagpole, and erecting their flag. They found the 1988 flag that had been placed was missing, and the flag that had been placed in 1995 was in pieces. In 2003, a Danish frigate landed on the island and replaced the flag again. 2005, Canadian soldiers landed on the island, placing a stone marker, a plaque, and a Canadian flag.
Yeah.
In 2005, as a symbolic move, Canadian Defense Minister Bill Graham set foot on the island. I also want you to know that apparently during this conflict, Google ads were placed about like this back and forth that was happening.
Okay.
In 2005, later on in 2005, the Danish government officially announced Denmark would issue a letter of protest to Canada. It's getting serious now, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I guess, yeah. This is...
A deputy premier of Greenland stated the island has been occupied by Canada, stating experts should determine which country the island belongs to. In 2005, Danish ambassador to Canada published the article in the Ottawa Citizen newspaper regarding the Danish view on Hans Island. So it's essentially just like them going back and forth. 2005 seems to be when a lot of the activity happens because that's when the ball got rolling on resolving this conflict.
They were told fucking figure it out, and they said, we're going to figure it out.
But it's essentially a war that was waged over an island. I'll show you guys a picture of the island. I'm going to send it in the D&D chat. Or not the D&D chat, our podcast chat.
Yeah.
But I read this story for the first time and just thought to myself, like, this is worth talking about. This is the
It's
dumbest
just a
shit.
fucking rock.
It's literally a rock in the middle of the ocean.
That's not
Nobody
a
lives
boulder.
there.
I'm so ready.
That's a rock.
Nobody lives there. There's no reason for them to be fighting this hard. But like I said, the fighting was mostly just them replacing a flag on the island. And it's important to note that both countries respected each other's flags. So they would take them down, aside from like the 1988 one, which was missing entirely, and the 1995 one, which was apparently in pieces, which also could have just been from wind and weather.
Yeah.
But each time that they would land on the island and replace the flag, they would take the flag of the other country down, and they would fold it appropriately and leave it in a place that would be easy for the opposition to find it. And so they weren't ever disrespecting.
I love that, like, two of the most, like, apologetic and nice countries were like, we're going to have the most nice and apologetic war ever.
Well, that was also the thing that kind of drew me to this story in the first place, was like Canada was in a war, which I know that Canada's been in wars before, but like
Matt, Canada
Yeah.
during
Is it
World
though?
War One was a fucking nightmare.
No, I mean, I know. Like, but this was sort of just like, I saw that it was a war between Denmark and Canada specifically, and I was just like, wow.
I gotta see how that goes.
I was like, I don't know what that means for anyone.
Don't know what that
So I looked into it, and it's not really a war. It's a dispute over borders.
Yeah, classic.
So, but yeah, the controversial part of this story was the fact that I was reading directly from
okay.
from Wikipedia.
I mean,
Then this
I
is
think
definitely the
that's
clickbait
acceptable.
episode. That's not that controversial.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable though when you're reading like a timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So June 10th,
Ye-
2022, people met on the possibility of diplomatic approaches while the Russian invasion of Ukraine developed. Canada and Denmark settled on a border across the island, dividing it between the Canadian territory of Nunavut, if you don't believe that elsewhere and whatever were, or Ellis Island.
No, I've
and
actually heard of none of it.
None of it
Nunavut.
doesn't sound like a real place. And
but I've
the
heard of it, so-
semi-autonomous Danish constituent country of Greenland. And then on June 14th,
haven't heard
year
of
of
it.
our Lord 2022, the plan for dividing the island between the two nations was officially unveiled. And there's more. Like I said, 2005
Who
was when they were
cares,
really, they really kicked it into gear to try and find a solution for this year.
Yeah.
But
Like, why do you? Oh, you know what? They don't want it. Is the thing. I just remember. So the reason why I know that like China and Japan a lot of the time go to war, not war, but like they get into disputes over like pieces of rock or like what constitutes an island.
yeah.
Is it because it extends your international waters rights?
Oh, that's fair.
So they're not fighting over the rock.
They're fighting over
fighting
international
over-
water.
They're fighting over and what's under the water, right? Like,
Yeah. Anything found under
it is
the water.
possible that anything so like gas reserves,
So, like, when
oil
they
reserves,
find the,
fishing rights.
What's his name?
Ark of the
Cthulhu.
Covenant.
When they find
the tomb of Cthulhu,
himself,
Yeah.
that
mean,
belongs to Canada.
I
that
feel
belongs
like-
to Canada now.
I feel like it probably started out as that, and then it was just a bunch of guys going like, we got to keep this fucking practical joke up.
It was
oh
really,
yeah, like
yeah.
1,000%.
It's just a good laugh, and we need that in this day and age.
I think that
in
was.
this day and age.
But I also love.
You need a good laugh.
I love that they were just like, you know what'll teach Russia is if we
finally settle this dispute.
Finally settle this dispute, and the Russians will look at it and be like, well, if the Canadians can do it, so can we.
Okay, but like no, that's not fair. The Canadians, like, here's the thing: as soon as you're like, oh, well, if the Canadians like Cthulhu, I'd be like, yeah, if there's one country in the world that I would trust finding Cthulhu,
It'd be the Canadians.
It'd be the Canadians.
I'd trust the Canadian. I would trust the Canadians or Japan.
I wouldn't trust Japan.
I wouldn't
Did you
trust
see what
Japan.
they did with
I would
Godzilla?
trust-
Yeah.
They turned him
No,
into a
I
weapon.
would trust Japan now.
I wouldn't. I don't trust Japan.
I would trust
with
Japan.
Cthulhu.
I stand by it. I would trust Japan.
They'd make movies.
Yeah, probably.
They would make movies.
Cthulhu
They
would be
turn
the
into
next
a
Hollywood
mascot.
star.
Yeah, dude. It would be like the next hit Japanese mascot, like akin to Hello Kitty.
Oh my god.
So-
Hello, Cthulhu.
Look. Do you know you've been to Japan, right, Megan? So you know the lore of Hello Kitty?
Yeah. The lore.
That Hello Kitty is an actual human woman? Oh my god, you don't know this? Alright, this is my Today I Learned.
No, you've already had 19 of them, but go on.
But the people need to know.
No, I'm here. I'm the people. I need to know.
So, Hello Kitty, I'll read this from the Wikipedia as well, is also known by her real name Kitty White, is a fictional character.
That's
Not
her name.
Yeah. According to her backstory, she lives in a London suburb with her family and is close with her twin sister, Mimi, who is depicted with a yellow bowl.
Damn, I thought her name was going to be Goodbye Kitty.
Oh, man. Hang on. Because I want... There was something that I was reading. There was something that I was reading that said that she was... that she was a human woman.
I mean... Maybe she is. Maybe she is a human.
Her
Maybe
height
it's
is
Maybelline.
described as 5 apples. Her weight is described as 3 apples.
Okay, that's not a measurement. Damn. I thought Americans were
okay.
willing to measure anything.
In
except by the
2014,
metric
an
system.
anthropologist was told by Sanrio that Kitty White was not simply a cat, describing her as a little English girl called Kitty White from outside London. So she's like a child.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
but here's the thing. Even the smallest of children do not weigh as much as 3 apples.
This is true. They weigh more than 3
They weigh
Unless
apples.
more
they're,
than 3
they're like the
apples.
Fuji apples.
Following
Hold on.
reports that interpreted this to mean she was human, a Sanrio
Biggest
PR representative said that the organization has never said that she was human, explaining that she's an anthropomorphized cat, much like the character Mickey Mouse. No one would mistake
Okay,
the Disney
well,
character for a human, but at the same time, he is not quite a mouse either. Hello Kitty isn't a human, but she's not quite a cat. Okay, so
Okay.
I got that wrong. But, like,
I'm glad we
Okay.
cleared it up.
it is kind of weird that they did say, like, not a cat, more human. Okay, anyways.
I guess. I don't know. So I just looked up biggest apple in the world.
Okay, and on that note, I think we need to wrap this shit up.
Yeah, Zach, do your thing
I will do my thing.
so that
Well,
I can do my thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, thank you
Listen,
for...
I'm just saying the biggest apple in the world was 4 pounds, so...
All right,
That's 12 pounds. All right, I guess that's a fair... that's a fairly...
let Zach
All right,
do his
anyway,
thing.
Thank you so much for listening to our show. We appreciate you being here. If you'd like to support us, which, hey, if you're listening, you probably want to support us. The best way to do that is to tell a friend about what we do and get them to kind of listen to. Our recruiting force is absolutely you. The other thing you can do is head on over to iTunes. Give us a rating and review on iTunes, and, well, we'd appreciate that. It kind of bumps us up the charts and makes us a little bit more recognizable, which makes our life a lot easier. We have to tell you to promote us less. You can also head on over to our Instagram at _triumvirate_productions. You can find us on Facebook at the Triumvirate Productions if you give it just in that search bar. And also, if you go to patreon.com/Triumvirate Productions or search the Triumvirate Productions on Patreon, you can jump onto our Patreon where you can get all of our bonus content, including What the Fuck After Dark and unedited episodes. Also, those unedited episodes come out a day early, so you get episodes on Thursdays, not Fridays, like the normal plebes. But anyway, once again, thank you for listening. Matt, take it away.
What the fuck history?